Hi, I'm Nick, and this is a show about art. This show is all about your art and your creations. Every episode is different, but every episode will challenge you to try new things, learn new stuff, and become a better creator. Oh, and let's inspire and encourage each other through it all. Let's get into it. Hey artistic badasses, welcome to the 10th episode of a show about art. Last week I dared you to experiment with some coffee art or coffee related artworks. Let's take a look at some of your artworks now. Allegra literally painted coffee with coffee. It reads, "Bring me coffee and tell me I'm awesome." Something every coffee shop worth its salt should say to their customers. From Dominic Taranto's Automatism Artwork Challenge, Azirel created this autumn-colored tribal-like line work. Looks great on a phone case. Julie Westmore participated in episode 8's 3-color challenge and created a portrait and a London taxi. Awesome. Picked at random, Allegra wins the Artistic Sticker Prize pack. Awesome work, guys. Now let's get on to creating some more art inspiration. Let's boot up the segment machine. Today we have another cool art challenge. We'll be using a 4-color ballpoint pen to create an artwork. And for those that don't know what a 4-color ballpoint pen is, it's basically just 4 pens in one. For those that don't have a 4-color ballpoint pen, you can also use just 4 different color pens. It does the same job, but a ballpoint pen is just a little bit cooler. So what's so cool about this challenge? Well, it brings me back to my school days. When the teacher was desperately trying to explain the importance of Pythagoras' theorem in everyday life, and I was a space cadet drawing squiggly lines in my textbook. Now that I think about it, that explains a lot about me. But then again, the teachers also said that we couldn't carry a calculator with us everywhere we went. They were wrong. Anyway, let's start to draw with our 4-color ballpoint pen or with 4 different color pens if you can't find one. So these are 2 examples of the big pens that you could use, or if not, just use 4 different color pens. I'm choosing this pen here, which has 4 colors that are pretty cool. So purple, pink, green, and blue. And I'm gonna do this like string pattern, as you can see on screen here. I think that looks really cool. So I started off by sketching out my design of string and rope across a A3 piece of paper, which in hindsight was very big, and it took about 2 hours to finish this whole artwork, as you will soon see. But it was totally worth it for the end product. So for this style that I'm using to create this rope pattern, I'm basically starting off with the darker color first. So in the case of the green and the blue, I start off with the blue lines, just thickening them up and drawing the darker shadows first, so the lights, these strong lines that go through here, and then fixing it up afterwards by using the lighter color. And there's just this really cool dimension that you get by doing this style of pattern. And it's really, really simple. Because it's string, the amount of lines that you do just make it look like it was that string texture. Lots of small strands that add twisted together to make that one massive rope pattern. So in that regard, it really worked well. And to an extent, you can make a little bit of shadow and light by just easing up in the middle of the rope when doing it, and just going a little bit heavier on the bits that wrap around the outer edges. So that I found really well, and it kind of made me dizzy while drawing this because there was so many lines and so much detail, and just having my eye only a couple of centimeters away from the paper for that long made me dizzy. I'm guessing just my eye had to absorb all this detail, all these small singular lines that made my brain fry up, I guess, but it was definitely worth it. I did eventually wear one of these pens out, so I had to go and buy another one. The ballpoint pen, the tip wasn't really gliding across the paper as it usually should. Even when I added a little bit of moisture to the nozzle, it still didn't work. So I was actually digging up the paper a little bit, especially for the darker highlights. And it was on this middle string that I'm doing here, so it kind of looked a little bit different from the other strings that were more perfected. And this was a big one too, so the poor old pen, it just couldn't take any more just couldn't take any more abuse. I'm a pen abuser and the pens will never like me back as much as I like them. But the good thing is I can always buy a new pen and they can never buy a me. Maybe in an alternate reality maybe the pen buys the artist and you just go to the artist store and you buy the artist there. I don't know, this is definitely a tangent. I'm sorry guys, that was a tangent. Back to the artwork. Nearly finished now, so just adding the final touches into it. And the good thing about these kind of artworks is you don't have to put so much detail into it. It's just simple things, a lot of simple things together will make a very complex artwork. And I was very happy with it, and I stopped getting dizzy about an hour or two after I drew this design. So be warned if you do the same artwork design as me for your challenge. Let's scan the artwork. Here's the scan. I think we should sharpen the pattern up with a black outline. I think it will make the colors pop just that little bit more and also stop the strands of rope from blending into each other once we start layering up the design. It definitely looks better with this sketchy black outline. Here's some sexy shots I captured of the line work. So floaty, so dreamy. Now that we've scanned this, let's experiment with an even bolder black outline. I like the bolder outline just that tiny little bit more, so let's go with the second version. With the scan now loaded into Photoshop, the first thing I'm going to do is take out all the white space in this artwork. To do this, we will duplicate our layer, hide the original layer, and then open the blending tools option interface. I'll move this toggle bar until all the white space is missing. It's also destroying our artwork, but that's just part of the process. We still have the original artwork on a separate layer from before, so there's no harm done yet. Now that the white space is gone, we will use the wand tool to select all the empty spaces in between our rope strands. While we retain these selections, hide the current layer we are working on and unhide the second layer and then press delete. This has deleted all the white space while preserving the artwork. How awesome is this method, right? The next step is to cut all of these strands of rope into separate layers so we can begin building a sense of depth into our digital print. I'll be doing this by selecting each individual strand and then pressing Command J at the same time on the keyboard. This copies everything on our current layer and pastes it onto a new layer. It's non-destructive, so it retains everything in that selection on the original layer we copied it from. But I'm going to delete the rope we copied from the original layer too, because I too like to live dangerously. I'm repeating this method until all of my strands of rope are on different layers. Next, we will condense all of these layers into a group called top level. Duplicate this group into two more layers called middle level and bottom level. This gives us the ability to alter the lighting and brightness on these groups to create the illusion of depth quite easily. But first, we will start to arrange the individual layers in the middle and bottom level groups to fill up all the empty space. I'm making sure I arrange them in a way that creates three distinct differences in depth. Let's enhance the illusion of depth by using levels adjustment layers to darken all the layers in the middle level and bottom level groups. By darkening the entire layer, we can use the airbrush to remove some of the levels adjustment layer and create highlights. I'm going to do this with each level. I'm not happy with the amount of depth we have created so far, so I'm going to paint an entire layer black and play with the opacity level. Then I'm using the eraser airbrush to once again create highlights and darker shadows. And now I'm happy with it. I can also play with the hue adjustment layer to alter the color of the strands or convert it to black and white for another cool version. In the end, I created 3 different versions and uploaded the design to Redbubble. Looks amazing for a simple ballpoint pen artwork, methinks. This challenge was fun. It just proves that art challenges don't need to be overly complicated. Sometimes you just have to go back to basics and revisit some of the art that you started with. And now it's time for you to create some art. It's challenge time. Artist challenge. Participate in this challenge with the hashtag #AShowAboutArt on Instagram and Redbubble. Participants will be featured on the next episode. Your challenge for this week is to create an artwork using a 4-color ballpoint pen, or with 4 different color pens if you don't have one. There's a lot of creative freedom in this challenge, so I'm expecting some crazy design. If you do need some inspiration, try drawing a portrait, a warrior, a building, or a guitar. But you can draw whatever your heart desires. Participants will of course be featured in the next episode of A Show About Art. Just make sure you use the hashtag #AShowAboutArt on Instagram and Redbubble so I can see it. I can't wait to see what you guys draw next week. Thanks for drawing with me, and goodbye for now, but not forever.
Check this out, this about dreams, patterns I carved out, materials given, I could've written my heart out, and God is dark now. I guess I gotta illuminate. So many people dying already can. Seeing that tuna fake. To be frank, some duke it out. Worlds of kumite. Assuming they ain't trained for this. Nah, corrupt data on the blank is this. Not what you think this is. I'm what you can't dismiss. Kiss the sky when I wake, cause it could've been my way.